Well, good morning, church. It's good to see you tuning in live. We're doing things a little bit differently these days because obviously the coronavirus. We're having to pre-record services. We've also uploaded some testimonies that are going to be getting shown over the next few weeks. So there's several people that have been part of the church for many years, and they're sharing their stories. Join with me this morning is Calum. Calum is, come on Calum, say hi to the troops.
Hi everyone, hope you're doing well out there.
Calum's my associate pastor here at Living Waters in Bellsill and has been with us here for probably, how long have you been at church here, Calum?
Oh, a long time there.
12 years, 13, 14 years?
Probably 15. Yeah.
15 years?
About 15 I'd say.
Wow.
At least.
Yeah, Calum was our youth pastor for many years. He's still operating as our youth pastor. Mm-hmm. However, I've been in settings where Calum shared his testimony. I've been at school venues where he shared his testimony. He's shared his testimony several times at our cafe nights. Testimonies is where someone testifies to a change that's taking place in their life through having an encounter with God. Now, Calum's got a really powerful story to tell. However, Calum's a guy who's been coming to church even from before he was born. Mm-hmm. So come on, tell us about that, Calum. How did that happen?
Well, absolutely. You're quite right in what you're saying. My story really begins before I was born. That's an important thing for all of us, because whatever your story might be, it started before you were even here. For me, I was born into a Christian household. Well, not just a Christian household. My dad was a minister, Church of Scotland, and I grew up knowing God. But before I was even born, as Michael said, my mum was diagnosed, whilst she was carrying me, she was diagnosed with MS, which is a disease that even to this day I still don't know how to pronounce properly. So MS will do.
Multiple sclerosis.
Yes,
yeah.
This point not.
Yep.
So she was diagnosed with this illness, whilst again, as I say, still carrying me. And really from that point, a few other medical complications as well at that point, but she was given the advice basically that carrying me to full term would have caused issues, it would have been risky, it would have been dangerous to a degree, and was really advised to weigh our options of whether or not to go ahead with the pregnancy or not.
Oh, that's incredible. So in other words, your parents had an incredibly difficult choice to make, because all the medical profession was saying if your mother was to carry you full term, it could ultimately, you might not have made it, she might not have made it, and so therefore the advice would be probably to have a termination. That's incredible, the faith of your parents and your mum and dad, to carry this through. So carry on, keep speaking to me. That's incredible.
Well, yeah, quite rightly put. I mean, with all the advice, with all of the opinions flying about, my parents, spoilers here, decided not to go through with it. 33 years later, I'm still here, and that's because of God's great hand on my life. Didn't realise it quite then, but looking back, I can see his hand all over my life. So I was born, obviously. I started to grow, not much, but I did start to grow. Again, raised as a Christian. Apparently, my first word was amen. I don't remember that, but apparently that was the first word. Not bad. It could have been a lot worse, but
yeah, your dad was a Church of Scotland
he was,
preacher,
yes, Church of Scotland.
So you would have had lots of amens.
I would, yeah, probably. So yeah, I mean, the idea of religion and the idea of God wasn't a strange thing to me. It wasn't a strange thing. We were there at church every Sunday, without fail. You're sitting in your pew. Me and my sisters would be there each week. My mum as well. Obviously, my dad. Every single week. But although I was getting knowledge and I knew about God and I knew the stories, I could tell you from a very early age onwards, I could tell you the story of Jonah and the whale, inside out, backwards and forwards. As I was growing up, it wasn't personal to me. God wasn't my God. It was head knowledge, and it hadn't made its way to my heart. It was just facts and figures and remembering stories that you hear and characters and names, but it wasn't personal.
Yeah, so really what you're saying is because you were brought up in a Christian household and you heard the stories about God, but there was no really any personal encounter with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there was a lot of head knowledge, but nothing emotionally
Yeah.
that touched you. So the assumption, because some people think, well, I'm a Christian because I was brought up in a Christian home. You know, that's like saying I'm a mechanic because I was born in a garage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
No. So there had to come a point in your life that something happened. What was the triggers to what happened in your life that you knew you had this moment, this encounter, something that took place that changed you?
Yeah. Well, quite a few, but I mean, again, things that I wasn't perhaps aware of back then growing up in my childhood, my adolescence, teenage years, that I'm aware of now. One factor was my parents, for whatever reasons it was, they decided to get a divorce, so they split. That was a difficult time for me. It's difficult for any child, of course. For me, personally, there was a sense and a feeling of I wasn't of much use. I didn't have really any kind of... I wasn't really good at anything in particular that I could see. I was just kind of existing. And I was very aware of that kind of thought in my life very, very early on.
Yeah.
And it gnawed at me. I didn't see it would do anything. As we've said, God wasn't real to me. He was just a factor. And when the separation happened, I did take it a bit hard. And I remember getting to a point pretty low, feeling pretty bad about myself, feeling like I didn't want to really be here on this planet. And I felt, I remember one particular occasion that I would have been quite happy just to have leant out of a window and just end it, basically. It sounds quite permanent, but that's how I was feeling at the time. Now, I didn't do that, and with that brought extra kind of feelings of, well, you can't even do that. You can't even do yourself in, basically. So there was this kind of feeling of just not really deserving to be here, not really deserving to be alive on this planet. I got fed up with the idea of church, and as soon as it became my choice not to go to church, I said, well, I'm not. Forget it. So with that, I kind of had a wee ultimatum with God. I kind of said to him, well, look, if you're real, fine, but you leave me alone, and I'll leave you alone. Which is a ridiculous thing to say. What am I going to do to God? But it's
yeah, I understand that. But,
it's one of those things. There was an anger there was a resentment there, and a lack of fulfillment in myself.
Yeah, see, the interesting thing is, you mentioned about your parents splitting up. You see, and again, they were Christians, because some people think because they're a Christian and in ministry, that they're, what's the word I'm looking for? They're immune. People are immune to the difficulties of real life issues. And so for me, nobody's immune. No. And just because someone like your mum and dad were Christians and probably were loving God and loved you and loved their family, the fact that their breakup, they weren't immune to it either. No. Nobody's immune to it. But we tend to think people are immune to it. And then the devastation that causes or caused in you. So, so carry on. Tell us what was happening now. You were telling God to leave you alone. And
sure. I mean, absolutely correct there, what you're saying. And it's a real important lesson to know that none of us are perfect. None of us have got it all figured out and got it right. And that's actually quite liberating.
Absolutely,
yeah. I was said, God, I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want anything to do with church or religion or none of that. I decided, well, if I'm going to have to live, I'm going to have to live. So I'll just get on with my life. Now, my sister, she, unbeknownst to me at the time, but she wasn't about to give up on me. and I have to say I'm very thankful. So she would invite me to different things that were going on, different kind of church events at a different church. I think it was over in Calvary in Motherwell, I think it was. And she would invite me to different events, different kind of youth things that were going on. And I remember there was once she invited me to, it was like an acoustic cafe kind of setting. And it was good, it was nice, it was hot chocolate, coffee, there was live music going on.
What's not to like there?
Oh, exactly, yeah, brilliant, it was free as well. So that was, that was good. So me being a teenager at this point, I'm 16, 16 I was at this point, and thinking to myself, well, you know what, this is an event, this is a youth event, I'm a youth as well, more to the point, I'm a 16-year-old boy, I'm single, I was going to pool. I'm not going to lie, I'm just going to be honest with you.
I'm going to go to church and find a bird.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I've been a youth
Yeah,
pastor,
yeah.
I've seen that happen as well. You know what, God will get you anyway, he can. So went along the idea of doing that. Didn't happen, so that's okay, but it didn't happen. I am married now, by the way, but when I went there was this group of missionaries over from America, right, and that was fine, didn't really care. But I started talking to one of them. Now, he turned out to be the pastor of the church that these missionaries were from. And remembering at this time, I was still feeling the way I was feeling, no direction, no real joy, no real passion, no real feeling of being alive, basically. Lost would be the word. So talking to this pastor, for no reason at all, never met him, never seen him since. He came up to me and says, "How are you doing?" And just something in me, maybe the fact I didn't feel I could talk to anyone, maybe the fact I didn't feel I had anyone to speak to, something in me just burst up. And I told him, well, actually, my life is like this. Actually, my life is going on like this. Actually, I feel like this. And he said at this point, wow, well, let me pray for you. I'd love to pray for you. Now, coming from a Church of Scotland background, that meant something totally different to me. That meant he would go away somewhere else, and at one point he would pray for me. No. Hand goes on the shoulder. Oh, right, we're praying now. Okay, right. He starts praying. I'm praying as well. Well, I'm not really praying. I'm kind of got one eye open, looking at him. Why is his hand on my shoulder? I'm not used to this. What's going on? This is a bit weird. But he prays for me. He prays for me, and I'm not listening to his prayer. I don't even remember what he said. But he's praying for me. And feeling the same way I was feeling. My only thought is, I want to get out of this. I just want to leave. I don't want to be in this situation. Just let me go home. Through all of this swirling around in my head and my heart, through all this negativity and darkness about myself, I hear words coming through. I hear words coming through, not from the outside, but from the inside. I hear words saying, "Calum, I love you.
Wow.
And I do have a plan for your life."
Wow.
It's like those words in Jeremiah where it says, "I know the plans I have for you." Now, you have to understand, that's a big thing. It's a powerful thing to say. You heard these words. This was God speaking to me.
Yeah, absolutely,
I didn't think those things about myself. I didn't love myself. I did not have a plan for my life. I didn't have any good thoughts about my being at all. And it wasn't the pastor saying this. He was praying for me. This was coming from God. It was such a peace.
Do you know what's incredible? As you're saying that there. So there's you, a young guy, feeling pretty hopeless about yourself, a lot of negativity going on in your world. Nobody can see that's going on apart from you. You then divulge this to a stranger, who's a guy who's a man of God, basically. He prays for you, and in the middle of this prayer, something begins to happen. Hope begins to arise. You begin to hear, like as if God's saying, "I love you, I've got a plan for your life." How did that make you feel?
I was overwhelmed. I seriously was. I was absolutely overwhelmed. It was a done deal at that point. It was like...
Is it the lights come on?
It was, honestly, it was. And it sounds cliche to say it, but things were different. Colours were more vibrant. I could see, you know, I mean, that grass is actually green. Look at that. That sky is actually blue. But it was more than that. It was that sense of peace, that sense of belonging, that sense of...
Absolutely.
It was a hug for your soul.
Yeah.
And I was absolutely... like if you've ever held your breath for a significant period of time until you absolutely cannot hold your breath anymore, that first breath you take in, that's what it felt like. It's like, this is what I've been missing.
Yeah.
That was completion, is what I would use.
Incredible. Listen, it was probably no long after that that you made an appearance here at Living Waters Church. I can remember we were having a prayer meeting in here. It was a Friday night, and this guy comes walking in. It's like a cowboy. He's got a wee black shirt on with a wee cowboy. What is that? It was like a wee tie pin thing that went up to your...
Oh, I remember that. Oh my gosh.
So, and this young guy comes in, and he sits at our prayer meeting, and we have a conversation, and we prayed for you that night as well. I think you shared. So. And he told us where he was staying in Bellsill, and basically from there you began to come to Living Waters Church here, and then things began to happen, and before long you were involved with our youth group, and you've been trips overseas.
That's right.
Spain, Tanzania. You took teams with you.
Yeah.
I mean, that day when you were prior going to that church meeting where the guy prayed for you, could you have seen a future like that ever happening?
Not at all.
So God has absolutely opened up your life in a way that you couldn't have opened up for yourself.
No, exactly it.
You're now telling us you're showing us a ring off, so you're a married man now. How long have you been married?
I've been married, I better get this right, this is going live. I've been married 4 years, it'll be.
Right.
This month actually, 4 years.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic, man. Do you know, there's a little verse in the Bible, and for me, it kind of sums up things that was happening in your life, because in the prophet Jeremiah, it says these words, "The word of the Lord came to me, saying, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart and appointed you to be a prophet to the nations." And Jeremiah goes on to say, hey, Lord, who am I? I'm only a child. But the very thing is this, before you were formed in the womb, God says he knew you. That's what was coming across for me as you shared your story, because you were in the womb. The doctors were saying something. However, God knew you.
Yeah.
He knew who you were. He knew that you'd be alive today. He knew what you'd be doing, serving the local church in this local community. Oh, absolutely fascinating. So what does it mean for you to be serving God? What does that look like?
To me, it's I wouldn't go as far as say it's an identity, because God is my identity, Christ is my identity. For me, it's the only thing to do. It's like, I know it's not really the case because there's many other things to do, but it's that factor of completion, that factor of having a course set, and to know that comfort that none of this is by accident.
Yeah. Tell me this, what's church life like for you today, different from what it was like when you were growing up?
Well, for one, it's personal. It's a deep sense of family, a deep sense of community, of love and caring. Church life is it's not just turning up at a certain time, sitting still and quiet, and then sing a couple of songs, stand up, sit down, and go away. It's not just that. It's a living thing. That church life happens outside here. It happens outside these walls. It happens in the conversations I have with people, and the interactions I have with people. And yeah, it's just alive. It's living.
Yeah, I believe that you're also part of the house worship team. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, I am.
Enjoy that?
It was brilliant, yeah. Yeah.
And I also believe that many times you guys have been out and went to different venues and have led worship.
Yes, we have, yeah.
So I mean, that's been an incredible experience and an incredible journey.
Would never have thought that would be happening. It wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for God.
Yeah. So somebody who's listening into you now, who's maybe never connected to church, let's say they're back down to that teenager, they're thinking all the things that you were thinking. Oh, nobody notices me. I'm insignificant. There's a lot of hopelessness. What have you got to say to them?
if that is you, if you're feeling like that, if you're feeling isolated and alone, especially now with all this going on, I want to tell you right now, you are loved. You are loved, and not just loved, but you are known by God. He is reaching out to you. There's no coincidence in life. There's no accident in life. If you're watching this, if you can hear my voice, it's for a reason. God is stretching his hand out to you today. So don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait for clouds to split or anything like that. Get in touch.
Yeah.
Get in touch. But this will change your life. God is not in the business of temporary fixes or quick patches. No, God is a lifelong passion, a lifelong experience. And I'm telling you this, you will not regret it. Nobody has ever came to Christ and regretted it.
Yeah, and the thing is, people can contact us in many different ways through the website,
Mm-hmm.
or if you wanted to email us at livingwaters.f2s.com, because you can't call us at the moment because we're not really in the building.
This is true.
Well, we're here now, but we're not here. But certainly through our website, it'd be great for you to contact us, and if we can answer any questions, we'll certainly get back to you.
Mm-hmm.
Just one other thing, Calum.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to say at this moment in time that that we've not really discussed or mentioned?
Well, to be honest with you, it's the idea of faith, of the Christian life, of what it means to be a Christian. And to be honest with you, that's the question that only you will be able to answer yourself if you come to Christ, if you meet with him, and if you say, God, I want to know you. I want to know this life that you say you've got for me. Again, many ways to contact us. Don't wait. As soon as you see this, don't even wait for the video to end. Just pause it and get in contact now. It will change your life for the best. You can also contact us on the Facebook page. Any prayer requests, we would love to pray with you. We would love to just let you know that you're not in this alone. There's a church here that will walk by you every step of the way and do what we can. We love you. Thank you very much for listening.
Do you know, there's a little verse in the Bible that says that God so loved the world that he gave his one and only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him shall have eternal life and shall not perish. You know, that's been Calum's experience. He's committed his life to Jesus Christ as his Lord and Saviour. He's not exempt from difficulties that are common to man, but at least he has an assurance of eternal life. He has hope for the future as he trusts God with his life. You know, thank you for tuning in. That over the next several weeks, you're going to find some of these live feeds coming straight to your home with testimonies, really a living hope. And we want you to share these messages with your friends and family and spread hope, spread the good news around. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Calum, for sharing with us today.
Pleasure.
God bless you guys.
Bless
Cheers.
you.
Thank you.